All right, welcome to the latest edition of Hogtown Hangs, a podcast from the Hogtown Brass Quintet. I'm your host, Jay Austin, and I'm joined today by my co-host, Tristan Ty. Today, we're talking with Matt McCrady, who plays trumpet with the Royal Canadian Air Force Band in Winnipeg, Manitoba. He's also performed with the Toronto Symphony, New Mexico Symphony, Naden Band of the Royal Canadian Navy, Winnipeg Symphony, Symphony Nova Scotia, the New Mexico Brass Quintet, and the Victoria Symphony Orchestra.
We're going to be chatting with Matt about how the musicians of the Canadian Forces have pivoted online during the pandemic, about his time with the New Mexico Brass Quintet, his expanding library of arrangements from Cherry Classics, subbing with the Hogtown Brass, and then Jay and Matt are going to share some stories about their time together in Albuquerque.
How's it going, Matt? Welcome.
Thank you. It's good. It's good.
No, this is a lot of fun. We don't get to chat too much anymore. But
no, it's true.
But I'm really glad you're able to join us for this. So without jumping or without waiting any longer, talk to me about your gig with the Canadian Forces. You've been in for about 12 or 13 years now, right?
Yeah, 2009 was when I got in, so about 11 years now.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, it's been really cool actually. We've got a lot of interesting experiences. You know, like a couple of years ago, we were over in England to celebrate the RAF 100th. So we were playing in the forecourt of Buckingham Palace for about a month. Well, we weren't actually standing there for a month, but we parade on and changed the guard for a month there. So that was pretty cool. Did the opening of the Paralympic ceremonies in Vancouver when the Olympics were in Vancouver. So there have been a couple really neat opportunities that have come out through that. It's our job day to day, like it's we take care of the ceremonial stuff, we take care of the morale. We're custodians of the history and heritage of the forces, if you want. So between doing that stuff, we also self-administer our things, so we've all got administrative roles to do too. So like my musical jobs, I'm playing in the band, I run our brass quintet here in Winnipeg. I've started doing a bit of conducting with the band. And administratively, I have to run our finance cell, our stores, our library, our admin cell, and basically the support roles in the unit. So yeah, pretty busy.
Right on. That's very cool. And you started out in Victoria, right?
Yeah, that was my first spot. And from the sounds of things, depending on how everything goes with this, we're on our way back there this summer.
That's really exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the forces, all 6 of the Reg Force bands across the country have been really active in putting out these mosaic style videos. Can you talk about the sort of the infrastructure that either assists or hopefully doesn't get in the way of it with the forces?
Well, it's for us, it's an interesting thing because the military obviously has its public affairs cells and stuff like that, who in general are really supportive of what it is that we're trying to do. They're really good advisors to make sure that we're staying on our lines of messaging, making sure that we're staying in line with what they want to be pushing out at the time. Mm-hmm. And I think in general, like we've done pretty well for the Air Force public affairs whenever we put videos through them. Like we did the birthday of the Air Force was back on April 1st, and we put out a Happy Birthday Air Force video for that on our CFPA, and that got up to 80,000 views. There was back when I think it was the shooting in Nova Scotia had just happened, we planned on releasing Lean On Me anyway, but it came out in kind of a timely way. And that was another one that did really well. Before this, we've used, other bands have been more active on social media than ours. But we have the couple things that we've done, like a promo video for a Christmas concert got shared by the Prime Minister in a tweet. And so, I mean, anytime that kind of thing happens, the public affairs folks in Ottawa send us a thumbs up.
I'd imagine. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did he call your video moist by chance?
He did not. That was not happening at that point.
Oh, God.
The general awareness around speaking moistly was not there at Christmas.
Oh man. Oh my gosh. Well, Tristan, why don't you take over here for a second?
So I don't know you as well as Jay does, but you guys were down together in Albuquerque for a while, and I just wanted to know a little bit about your experience with the New Mexico Brass Quintet and how that turned into the UNM, University of New Mexico Grad Quintet.
Yeah, so when I first went down, it was part of the New Mexico Brass Quintet, which that had been going for a long time, and the system that they'd had in place for a while um, was that they would have three faculty, so Jeff Piper, Carl Hinderbickler, and the horn prof, whoever that was at the time, would be the faculty members, and then there would be a graduate assistant playing tuba and the second trumpet part. So that assistantship had been running for a while, and that's how I ended up going down. It was a really good experience to work with a quintet that had so much history to it. Like they've still got some of they've still got one of the best recordings out of the Bloke 4 sketches that I've managed to find. And like being able to look through stuff by like Cheatham and some of the other major contemporary brass composers and seeing that it was written for New Mexico Brass Quintet, it was pretty cool to be a part of the history of that group. And it's funny, like I've randomly run into other people that have done that program. Like when I was in Victoria, the tuba player for the Victoria Symphony had been the tuba assistant before he won the job up there. So it's funny where the people that were part of that program are kind of all over the place. The grad quintet, I think, came out of it. From the school perspective, it was nice having the two grad assistants around, but they wanted to open it up to have a wider, to be able to draw more students, basically, I think. So it made sense for them, rather than doing the full assistantship that I started out on, they decided to do half assistantships kind of thing to fill out the brass quintet with all graduate students. And I think it worked well, and it was a good experience for a lot of them. I know from seeing the occasional update on their page, they're still active in learning how to market a group, how to set up like school tours and stuff like that. I think there's something to having a group full of students being able to run and manage their own groups, just as an educational experience. Like a lot of times when we're in school, we'll go through chamber music programs and we'll play rep and stuff like that, but it kind of stops there, other than maybe the odd gig that somebody in the group might get here and there. But having a group that is looked at as a full-time group and being expected to run with it and help do recruiting type things for the school, I think that's a great setup and a great experience.
I think it definitely helps. Oh yeah, go ahead.
If I can jump in for a second too, I think part of the big role was they wanted us to go around to the schools in the state and be promoting, what scholarships were available, even if you were a non-major. And I think a lot of that still doesn't necessarily get talked about enough. But I think there was an amount that if you were an English major at UNM and still wanted to play trumpet in the marching band, there was an amount that you were going to get if you agreed to do so. And I think that was a big part of our message in the dozens of school shows that we did at 6 o'clock in the morning, because that's when band is in the state of New Mexico. It's still dark out when you're done, but it's time for breakfast tacos is kind of the way that those shows.
Taco Cabana, I missed that spot.
Yes.
I think more than anything in Jay's experience down there, I've heard the most about the tacos and the food.
Yeah,
Which part of the school?
Yeah,
but yeah, I think a lot of the things that you're talking about, Matt, about running your own group and being able to just function as your own entity. I know that Jay's taken a lot from that, and he's helped build our business like that, and I'm sure it's likely helped you in your endeavors as well since then. Yeah.
Well, I think it's interesting to get into an experience where it's when you're there as a grad assistant, I find that it feels like everybody's there going to school, but I think it creates some kind of buy-in to the school. Like you're trying to give something back to the school. The school is making an investment in you as a group. So you're trying to give them a return on their investment, kind of. So in trying to provide them with a service, it gives you more buy-in, more of a sense of obligation kind of thing, more connection to it, maybe. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Now, Matt, when we were down there, there was another brass group that was just starting up at the same time. The Copper Street Brass, like you and I kind of got to watch. Well, you had the extra year with them, but we got to watch them kind of organize and decide to go full court press to make a real business out of it, which obviously we're doing a lot of the same things, and Tim and Ali have provided great examples to follow in a lot of ways. But I mean, is there anything that you'd like to talk about, like as far as the grad quintet pivoting or having partners in crime, if you will, with well, they were the Blue Ribbon Brass, and then they changed to Copper Street Brass.
I don't even remember the Blue Ribbon Brass, but Copper Street's a way better name.
Yeah.
Sorry if there's a Blue Ribbon Brass Quintet out there somewhere, but no, I think having them in the school, I mean, the first year that we were there, and I think even the second of it, they were still, I think they were still sort of figuring themselves out. They knew the path that they wanted to go down, but they were still doing a lot of the main quintet rep. Like I think it was my second year there that I ended up being special guest on their concert for when they did the BAME Sextet. And I think they started doing some of their more innovative stuff, but it was afterwards. I think they're so good at finding an angle and sort of a niche that other people haven't touched on, that I've seen much of in brass quintets anyway, with mixing in, like, most of them double on stuff, right? So I mean, a lot of the stuff some of the stuff they do would have 3 or 4 of them actually playing brass instruments, and then other ones would be picking up guitar and drums and moving to other stuff. And like, I know a lot of the quintet arrangements that are out there of pop music, it's really hard to get that groove and get that same kind of feel that you get in that you do with a rock band or with rhythm instruments and stuff. So I think it's a really interesting model and a really neat go. And I think from what I'm seeing from their social media posts, I mean, it's something that connects really well with audiences. So I mean, it's definitely interesting to see how that group's evolved. From okay, we're gonna be a quintet at the school, and okay, now we're gonna make a run at this, and then finding their angle and sticking to it and pushing it, and they just keep going farther with it. So it's great.
It's really inspiring to watch it happen. And
yeah,
I've talked with Tim on a couple of occasions as far as little business things and tips, and probably once or twice a year we chat in terms of what's going on, and I'll have a problem that I don't know how to solve, or I don't have any good ideas. And Tim and Ali have been really invaluable, and Corbin too.
Yeah.
So that's been really nice to sort of have as a resource to fall back on, for sure.
Yeah, watching Tim, I mean, that guy, I mean, he's got so many ideas, and he's able to make things happen. Like, lots of people have ideas, but he manages to make things go. Seeing all the stuff that he's doing around Minnesota is great.
Tristan, do you want to...
Moving sideways a little bit here. I don't know if you remember, Matt, but you once subbed in with the Hogtown Brass. Do you happen to recall that event?
I do now. I didn't remember it when Jay first prompted me about it, because I was there mainly to watch. I forget what I was doing in Toronto for over that chunk of time, but I had a spare day.
I think you were teaching at Borden, and you came to Toronto for a couple of days.
Oh, I wouldn't have been teaching. I would have been doing my conducting course or something like that.
Well, maybe that's what it was. Yeah.
There might have been a long weekend, and most of the other people on my course went home. So rather than being a loner in my room, thinking about walking up to the Canex to buy a Nintendo Switch, I decided to make the trip into Toronto to check some stuff out.
So you came up to a brewery with us. We were playing at Shacklands Brewery. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember watching you guys. Did I see you had more than one brewery, or was it the same one? You guys started on a porch, and then you went in where the
Right. That was an outdoor. So in Toronto, there's 3 breweries that share a parking lot, and they refer to them. It's the ale yards, is what they call them. Call the area, but they're so we've worked a lot with the Junction Craft Brewery, and then with Shacklands, which is 2, and then the third one is Reinhard Brewing. And so we were supposed to be outdoors for the entire. It was like a food festival, and but then it started to rain harder than. Well, we all play off iPads, so technology and rain don't mix.
No.
So then we started running between venues and playing sets in here and there, and it was a lot of fun. And you happened to be around for, I think you saw the same set 2 or 3 times that day.
Yeah.
I went through a lot of tacos that day. Those food trucks kept me busy.
Somehow we convinced you to come on stage and play a couple of tunes with us.
Yeah, I think it was a polka or something.
Sounds about right. Oh yeah, it was that German. It's a drinking song, Beim Fahrwärts, I think. Yeah. Great Manalza brass chart.
And I was, anyway, I mean, I was obviously doing my conducting course, so I'd barely been playing, so that was an adventure. But
we were a couple of pops deep at that point.
Yeah.
So Matt, I've in quarantine or during the world right now.
Mm-hmm.
That was a terrible sentence.
Segue.
I've been watching a lot of the show Hot Ones, which, do you not know what Hot Ones is? Is an interview show on YouTube that they eat increasingly hot wings.
Oh, I saw one of those. Yeah.
But one of the things that they do is they do a segment where they ask someone to explain a photo. So I'm going to put a photo up on the screen, and I'd like you to share or to explain this photo as best as you're capable of.
Yeah. What's going on here, Matt?
Now I've got a dual screen because I also had it up on my screen, and I was going to surprise you guys with it. But that was when, I forget exactly what town it was, but our grad quintet, we went up to a musical retreat to do some coaching for a weekend kind of thing. And I mean, we were roommates with Corbin and Joe.
Yep.
That year, so we were grad school. We were plowing through a good chunk of South Park, and there's the episode where they started a Christian band called Faith Plus One. So basically, this was our attempt at a recreation of the South Park Christian band Faith Plus One. And I think we took this picture. It's rare that there's snow in New Mexico. Anyway, we took this picture just before going down. And I didn't think of this until I brought my picture up earlier, but what I forgot about this is I think we all got food poisoning at that camp, right?
Yep, we definitely did.
So we got food poisoning and made the drive back down to Albuquerque, and then had to play Pulcinella that night.
Oh, God.
Oh, that's right. I'd forgotten that part of it.
Yeah, so it's just load up on Tylenol and Advil and hope for the best. Like, it was, good times.
Oh my God. Oh, I'd forgotten that part. This is fantastic. There's so much good in this photo. We could probably do a whole hour on this photo, but
what is not good in this photo is the goatee.
Oh, it's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing, Matt.
We've got a comment on the live stream here that Steve Donegan, I'm going to read this as he wrote it.
Oh, God.
Dat chindo. # goatee like a boss.
Thanks, Steve. Love it.
All right, I'm going to get rid of that off the screen. That's enough of that. So, Matt, this is a good time. Before I ask you the last thing, we at 2:00 Eastern, so in 12 minutes, have a video premiering on both Facebook and YouTube that you played in, and we've been editing that over the last week or so and putting the video together. So we're really excited about that. That should be available in, almost just under 12 minutes. But I wanted to give you a chance. Do you have anything you wanted to promote? I know you have some of your brass arrangements on Cherry Classics. What you're doing, anything with the band, this is kind of your time.
Nothing really to promote. What I think one of the things that I found, I'll just go on a rant. One of the things that I found interesting from the start of this thing is seeing how the arts organizations have stepped up to sort of reach into people's homes and bring some kind of comfort. And I know that's something that's driven us a lot at work to try to find solutions. And I think that's where we decided to pivot hard to the online stuff. I mean, as you know, editing videos and doing all this kind of stuff, it's a lot of work. So, I mean, we've got Aaron Egan, who I think played with you guys a couple times, right?
He played an Easter service with us, yeah.
Yeah, he's one of our video guys, along with Mick Dabowski, who was in the Toronto area for a while too. Yeah. There are two video guys, and then Jarrett Reitfeld does our audio for that stuff. Like they bust their butts basically week after week trying to get this stuff out. But I'm happy. I'm happy just being able to get the stuff out and expand our role that way. And I'm looking forward to some of the stuff that we have coming up and we have planned. I think May 25th is going to be something pretty awesome. And Aaron and Mick kind of outdid themselves on it.
All right.
Other than that, I don't know that I got a whole lot to add.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right.
Did you want to mention briefly even what it's like to have arrangements published, what the process was of going about that before we let you get back to your day?
Well, it's pretty cool. I mean, when I arrange, usually it's for a specific concert or a specific group or whatever. And I mean, I used to be faster arranging. You'd think that I'd get faster over time, but I don't know if it's just being more critical of what I'm doing, or honestly, I think it's doing score study from conducting has made me more pickier about how I put stuff together.
Right.
But like you put in hours and hours of work, like most arrangements I'd say take me 20 to 30 hours kind of thing. So it's a lot of work, and a lot of times it's like you play the arrangement once kind of thing, and it goes by, and it's a satisfying thing to have an arrangement played and feel like you're contributing something to the musical world kind of thing. But getting published, it's again more, it's not about money so much as just being able to share it and hope that all that work's going to get played more than once. I mean, it's a lot of work to play through something once. So for me, that's more the thing than anything. I'd like to contribute something to the musical world, and hopefully that stuff can get out there, and that they work for people and that they enjoy them.
Well, on that note, I forgot to add, if anyone would like to hear one of Matt McCrady's fine arrangements, we actually recorded his version of In the Bleak Midwinter on our holiday album. So if anyone wants to check out Matt's arrangement, it exists.
Cool.
And I think audiences have enjoyed your pentatonics version of Carol of the Bells.
Oh yeah,
we haven't had the guts to try to record it. So, but okay, well, that is it for our interview, I think. Unless you have anything else you want to add, Tristan.
That's all, I think. Yeah.
All right. Well, take us home.
All right. Well, thanks again, everyone, for joining us on Hogtown Hangs with Jay and Tristan. We really want to thank Matt for taking the time out of his day to spend some time chatting with us. We will be back in 2 weeks, I believe, on May 27th with an old colleague and friend of mine, Alistair Chaplin, from the Naden Band of the Royal Canadian Navy. All right. And with that, I bid everyone adieu.
Thanks a lot, Matt.
Thanks, everybody.
No problem. Thanks.
Take it easy, guys.
Cheers.